3 o'clock. We are live. And today's show, we come to you every week right here live on Facebook at 3 p.m. Eastern Time to help connect the dots in real estate. Today is no different. We do that by having world-class guests. And today we have several amazing guests. We have Nathaniel Bittman with National Security Mortgage. We also have Tasha McGinn with Exit Realty. She is a broker owner in Biloxi, Mississippi, absolutely tearing it up. I think she adds about 20 agents an hour to her business, but she'll be on in just a few minutes as well. But hey, it's been a great, I don't know what your first quarter was like. I wasn't here last week. We did a pre-recorded show last week because I was out of town on a trip that I won from that first quarter. I want to thank my partner, my teammate in new home sales, Christy Pollock. She is an amazing rock star. Hopefully she's listening in right now and can see that. So here's the thing, today's show, it's dirty talk, right? Dirty talk, a little pillow talk, the funny thing is I'm going to talk to my producers at the same time. So, hey guys, when I told my wife that I was going to do this show, Dirty Talk, she about fell out of her chair. So, and I purposely, I promoted it only a little bit because I didn't want us to start showing up on like adult sites and on the internet or something like that. But, check out Dirty Talk with Dave Creel. No, it's not like that. We kind of did a little bit of a spin. And what we're talking about today really are those things that we maybe want to say, maybe we do say when others aren't listening, when it comes to the things that we count on in our sales process by the other people that are involved in the transactions. For example, maybe you are a buyer's agent and you are having to work with an unknown seller's agent and you have struggles with that, right? What do they do? What's going on that really gets your gander? So we're posing that question today, whether it's a mortgage lender, an inspector, an appraiser, you name it, realtor to realtor. Of course, for most of you that follow the show are aware that I'm in new home sales. So, we get married to realtors, many realtors, for a 6 or 7 month process when we start building that home. Some other new home builders, it's even a longer process. So there's a lot of relationship and communication that's going on. There are things that we count on from one another. So what gets your gander? If you're watching on Facebook, well, yeah, you are watching on Facebook, by the way. But as you're watching, you're welcome to comment. Even if you're watching this show after it airs, I know it's very tough sometimes for people to catch the show in the middle of the day, and we get a lot of views afterwards in the following day or two. So if you're tuning in, if you're watching the show, even if it's later, make sure that you comment on Facebook. What really gets your gander? What would you say to another realtor? What would you say to a mortgage lender? What would you say to maybe an appraiser or a new home sales consultant that, they just got to get right. They got to get it right, right? So, we talked about the fact that it's dirty talk. You know that if you follow the show, it's a very positive type of vibe, hopefully that we give off because we're all here to learn together. That's the whole premise of the show, is that we bring value that realtors, mortgage brokers, anyone in the real estate industry can take away and leave the show with something that's going to make their business a little bit better. So we will put a positive spin on this. So we're going to talk about how to communicate better with each of the parties. And it's great. We're going to have a great lender on board here in just a few minutes live in the studio. And then, of course, we have that amazing broker out of Biloxi, Mississippi, Tasha McGinn. So before we move on, let's pay some bills. Let's go to commercial break. We'll be right back on Under Contract.
I have been using Serial Sales Pro for a little more than 2 years now.
I highly recommend it to anybody who's either just getting in sales. I don't care if you've been in sales 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Doesn't matter who you are, where you are.
The shorter videos allows me to keep my concentration and also gives me more of a chance to actually apply that knowledge.
I've learned how to close deals better and be more effective in my communication with these customers.
I think what Serial Sales Pro does for me, it just keeps me sharp, keeps my head sharp.
My income has literally tripled in the last 3 years.
This year, I'm already slated to make about 50 grand more than I made last year.
I've doubled my income from what I made last year.
It's definitely increased my income, and a lot of that came from what I learned right from Serial Sales Pro.
It's really turned my whole sales career around.
It keeps me ready to get to the next level.
So if you're not plugged in to it, get involved right away.
Let's face it, in today's market, video is the new curb appeal. Even if somebody drives by your listing, the first thing they're going to do is pull their phone out and take a look at that property online. Whether you're selling a $200,000 home in Central Florida, or a multi-million-dollar estate in Palm Beach, Florida, or San Francisco, California, or maybe you need some aerial footage for a site acquisition, email me today and let's get started. Robbie at rmtmedia.net.
Hey, welcome back to Under Contract. Again, we are live with the Dirty Talk episode. Just a couple of guys talking dirty here. No, seriously, look, we're putting a positive spin on this. Today is about maybe some talk that you've heard or things that you may want to say that aren't so nice to the other parties involved in your transaction when we get let down maybe by another party. But, you know, we're all human. We all make mistakes. Sometimes it's just a matter of perspective. Maybe we don't understand what's happening on the other end of our process and it could be valid or it may not be. But we're going to talk about today some of the things that really frustrate us and maybe how to get past some of those things. So I want to introduce to you Nathaniel Bittman, lender extraordinaire with Security National Mortgage. I messed it up, by the way, in the intro. I said National Security Mortgage, and it's Security National Mortgage.
It's not. That's why I gave you the card.
That's right. That's right. So welcome to the show, Nathaniel.
Thank you. Thanks. It's great to be here. It's a lot of fun. I love your show. You do some great stuff. So I guess I maybe want to share with the masses that, you know, when you first brought me on, we talked about in the subject of Dirty Talk. This is a very emotional transaction when somebody does purchase a property and they get a mortgage to it. So, you know, I think we're all born and raised at a very young age that the greatest investment we're ever going to make is a housing investment.
Absolutely.
The primary thing, right? And as culturally things evolve and they're changing, and we're seeing the Latino population grow tremendously. A lot of younger Latinos or first-generation Latinos or those that are coming to this country for the first time are learning the importance of saving and being able to buy your home, because it's always been known as the American dream is to buy your home, and by far one of the greatest assets you'll make. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny, you know, and I don't want to get sidetracked too much, but you mentioned the Latino population and obviously growing at a rapid rate, and it's an audience that we can't afford to miss. So I would encourage all of our viewers, because as we talked about earlier, Nathaniel, my history is in the car business, and we're seeing some staggering statistics when it comes to Hispanic buyers in the auto, you know, industry. And the untapped market and how we're marketing to them, we haven't caught up to the potential that's there to reaching out and connect with that demographic. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. And what we're going to do is we're going to also bring into this conversation Tasha McGinn with Exit Realty. She's out of Biloxi, Mississippi, and I want to get her involved because I want to have some three-way interaction here on Dirty Talk with Tasha and Nathaniel. Did I just say that? Here's the thing, I think I just said Natasha, but Tasha, is it Tasha? Is that how you say it, Tasha or Tashia? Because it's spelled amazingly.
Yeah, no, it's Tasha. The I is silent.
Okay, I knew
my parents put the I in there.
Okay, I knew it was Tasha. I knew it was Tasha, by the way, but I had to do that for our viewing audience. So Tasha, you're killing it there in Biloxi. It seems like you're adding a new agent like every 5 minutes on Facebook. So how's it going there with your new brokerage?
It's great. I've actually been in real estate 12 years. I've been an independent since 2008. I bought my Exit franchise last year. We couldn't get it off the ground until October, and we expanded our office, and we'll be at 30 agents. I started with one going into this. I was kind of a one-man show. I've done HOA management, rental management, and I had a staff that really wasn't operating my business as a brokerage. And I've just focused my energy on, you know, just trying to attract agents and build the brand and build the office. And our goal is to be at 50 this year, you know, 100 next year, and keep on growing. You know, my goal is to have multiple offices down here. So if we stay on this track, we'll do amazing.
Yeah, I have no doubt that you're going to accomplish that, because what I'm seeing on Facebook and all your postings and your, like you said, your energy, and it's contagious. So I love following you on there. But you know, today we're talking about. We had some fun with the title, Dirty Talk, but really this is a serious subject. I mean, we're as Nathaniel mentioned earlier. You know, we're dealing with someone's biggest purchase of their lifetime, an emotional purchase, and unlike the kind of where I came from in the car business, I mean, it's not uncommon to come in and leave with a car 2 hours later, but it's a little bit deeper than that when it comes to buying a home, and it's a longer process. There are other parties that are involved, and oftentimes, you know, we get frustrated. I know selling new homes, I get frustrated with certain things. You know, I just want to like shake someone sometimes and say, "What are you thinking here? You know, we got to make this work." So, so maybe speak a minute, Tasha, about some of the things that maybe some experiences you've had where you want to reach out and just say, "Hey, you know, there's a better way than this," or "Why did you do this?" What are some of the things on a daily basis that either it's realtor to realtor or maybe with a mortgage company or an appraiser that makes you scratch your head, and what can we do about it?
Well, I think the biggest thing that I'm seeing now is we've brought on a lot of new agents that are new to the industry that are not familiar with all the different processes. And, you know, we teach them, you know, when you need to contact a lender and an attorney and, you know, a home inspector and appraiser. But the thing is that they don't teach that in real estate school. So all these agents come on totally clueless on, you know, all the different steps that they need to take if they're working with a buyer or even with a seller. And, you know, there are times where folks that have been in the industry, you know, in the different categories that are so used to dealing with seasoned agents that they throw out PMI. I know what PMI is. You know what PMI is. But some people don't, and so they are totally oblivious to whatever you know, the special terms that we may use in real estate. And so I guess one of the biggest things I can say is you know, for lenders to maybe even and attorneys to ask how long you've been in the business and if there's anything maybe that you understand or if you'd like me to elaborate on. Because I see it daily. We have vendors in weekly, and I'll stop and jump in and say, okay, well, can you explain what that is for our new agents? Because I don't believe that they understand. And so that would be my biggest point. Communication is a second point that I would hit on. There's you know, with some vendors, if you can find good ones, typically you tend to, you know, stick with them. But I think sometimes you find that there's a lack of communication, and you know, you can get sideways with your buyers or sideways with the sellers and their agents when things are not being processed the way that they should because there's a lack of communication. So those are 2 points, I mean, right off the bat that I can think of. But you know, we can't discount the fact that there are new agents in the industry, and you know how behind the power curve that they are in just the fundamentals.
Yeah, Tasha brings up a great point, Nathaniel. You know, talking with you know, lenders, new real estate agents. She mentioned a few things that she's absolutely 100% right on. You know, coming out of real estate school, you have the school, and you know, you can get your license based on the things that they're sharing there. But when you go out into the real world and begin to practice real estate, there's all these incredibly new things that are occurring, and you can't, as a lender, assume that maybe someone recognize all the terminology that you as a lender maybe know. So maybe speak of that.
So I will share that I agree with Tasha. First of all, we are experiencing a little bit of a significant epidemic nationally. The average age of a realtor is about 55, 56 nationally, and the average age of a mortgage person, a licensed loan originator nationally, is 54. So we are experiencing a crisis where you have this gap of Generation Xers and millennials that are in the marketplace. There's even a little bit of an epidemic in the mortgage world where, you know, if we want to go out and recruit, you know, young people in the wake of the debacle and the crash of the housing market and the banking industry, mortgage to get into mortgages and to be a lender, or the term just mortgage is just kind of an itchy term. So very difficult to get that. And I think part of it is, and if I can make this one very important point, hope all of your viewers and listeners may identify to this, when you look at some of the professions out there, like doctors and lawyers, they've been around for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, and they figured out how to communicate and train one another. Please understand that when you look at the mortgage person, the notion of a loan officer, that career has only been in existence for 50 years. That's a very young, I mean, we're still trying to figure out how to train people, how do you bring them up, how do you run them through the, you know, it's a very challenging thing. So to Tasha's point, she's right, and I would say that the problem that we suffer from is that lenders and bankers and institutions, because of cost, have not figured out how to properly train young people in this business. There needs to be better apprenticeships. There needs to be better communication. Tasha is correct. The one thing that I would reverse and say that may be helpful, at least in Tasha's case, is one, finding that when you get a pre-qualification from a lender or a mortgage person, I would reverse it. Make an outbound phone call. Have your realtor make an outbound phone call to that person. Maybe do a joint call with the consumer and the mortgage person and say, you know what? Can we talk about this process? What can we expect? What's the next step? What's going to happen? I am new in the business. Can you walk me through what the expectations are? Because right now it's the opposite. The mortgage guy reaches out to the realtor.
Yeah, you know what? And you bring up a great point. You just made me think of something as well, and we'll go back to Tasha for her comments on this. But Tasha, what about that new realtor? Because, hey, let's also face this. What's going on right now is that we're adding realtors at record numbers because of the booming market. I mean, everybody's getting a realtor's license. I think that the new national statistic is there is one realtor or two realtors per household now. So I'm just kidding, actually.
But
there are a lot of them.
There's a lot.
Yeah,
there is a lot.
Yeah, there are a lot of realtors now, and more every day. So the point is that you're bringing, we have this influx of brand new agents that maybe, to your point, Nathaniel, I would think are not comfortable or don't know that it's okay to reach out to a lender or a mortgage broker and say, hey, get on the phone with me to call this consumer. Tasha, maybe speak on that. What would you say to that? Do you feel like brand new agents that are coming on would maybe be a little intimidated by making that call to the lender?
I do, but I can't blame just the lenders or any other professional that is in the real estate business. I would put responsibility back on the brokers as well. But in my office in particular, I make it a point to bring different lenders and banks and so forth to the office and let them tell my agents about the different programs that they have and packages. And yesterday we had somebody from a company called Renaissance, and they have all kinds of grants, and they help with bad credit, and it was very informative, and my agents that attended the class were just blown away at all the things that they could offer their clients. And so that is helpful. And then I think that, getting for new agents, getting familiar with the different companies that are out there. Most of them are more than willing to kind of walk you through the process. Mm-hmm. And I think that, he talked to Nathaniel brought up a good point as far as, getting on a three-way call or maybe even going by the office of the bank or mortgage company, whatever you're using to finance your loan. And sit face to face and ask what are the different options, that are available to my buyer. And can you explain it to me? Because I have never bought a house, or when I bought my house, it was 20 years ago, things have changed, or, whatever the case is. But, we always need to learn in this industry. And I think that the responsibility can't be put just completely on the professionals out there, but it needs to be put back on the brokerage as well and being able to inform realtors. But it gets lost and the lines get blurred a lot, and you find that there are a lot of uneducated agents out there that are trying to conduct business.
It's really a concern that we have. It's a bit of a crisis because as new people enter the marketplace and we rely a lot on information technology and email to communicate, we're kind of going away from, again, because this is such an emotional transaction. And there are so many people involved, not just the consumer, but you have an attorney or a title company closing a transaction. You have a buyer's agent, a listing agent. You have a surveying company. You have an appraiser. You have, the seller. You have the seller. You have the buyer. You have so many variables involved, right? And nobody really gets paid until the deal gets done. So not only is money on the line, there's a lot of emotion on the line. There's a lot of hopes and dreams on the line. So to me, what I want to go back to is almost my suggestion. to a new real estate agent, and I teach a school for new real estate agents on how to work with lenders, we don't even get into products. We talk about process. Mm-hmm. How do we handle? Because the consumer has a product, they get it, they're confused themselves. They don't even really know what product they're getting. They're so wrapped up with turning on power, getting on electric, packing up things, getting out of their old home, moving to a new home. They're really depending on the agent and that mortgage person to navigate them. And I would say the most vital thing that can ever happen is that an agent, whether it's a buyer's agent or a listing agent, all three parties with the mortgage person find a way to talk about, okay, what can we expect in this process? How are we going to work together to get to the finish line and have a nice, smooth landing?
Yeah, I think heard a horn. Yeah, I think you're spot on. And, you know, I think part of the reason that we run into frustrations is because, like you just mentioned, all of the different parties that are involved that have to work together, and they all work for different places. It's not like we all work for the same,
right.
You know, in the same building or for the same company. So it's sometimes it can be really challenging. So I'm going to, believe it or not, it's crazy that we're already short on time, but I'm going to throw this out there to Tasha, and then I'll throw something to Nathaniel real quick as well. But, you know, I'm going to vent a little bit, Tasha, and you tell me as a realtor if this makes sense. You know, being in new home sales, one of the three things that are kind of get my gander when it comes to realtors, and by the way, I love realtors. I mean, realtor, yes, and so does Nathaniel, and realtors are what makes us, you know, successful as well. So, however, again, we can always, you know, learn from each other and get better. So one of the things I would say to a realtor, if I could say, without the customer being there, is allow us to present our product. You know, when you bring a customer in or a client in, introduce them to a new home sales consultant, and allow the new home sales consultant to do their job and present. Doesn't mean you have to choose that home. Or even, you know, you can still give, obviously, the advice that your customer is relying on you to give once that presentation's done. But I would say allow us to present. The next thing I would say is appointment no-shows. Oftentimes I have realtors call 2 or 3 times to check to make sure I'm going to be available for an appointment for their client, and then they don't show up. And I don't hear from them. So kind of lame. Then the other thing is the other thing that kind of gets me is when in my area you can go to, we talked about this earlier, Nathaniel, off air, but you can go to 15 builders within 5 miles. So a lot of competition. There's a lot of choices for the client, good choices. So when a realtor brings a client in, and the client's not ready to make a decision because they want to look and see the other homes, then I would say, realtors, please let us know where the client is. Let us know where they stand. We can follow up, but since you're their agent, we're thinking that it's probably best to check with you. We don't want to bombard the customer and make them feel bad about if they made another selection, but let us know what the status is. So speak to that maybe for a moment, Tasha, and tell me what you would want from me as a new home builder or sales rep.
Okay, so first, I mean, I can relate completely to your first, point, and that is I ran a high-rise condominium complex for 10 years, from construction until just recently. And one of the things that, you know, I was frustrated at is realtors would bring their clients in, and they were so worried about losing their clients to the property that they were in the way of trying to sell that condo complex to potential buyers. And what I would try to communicate to them is, register your client and you'll be protected. But, you know, no one can sell this property like I can, you know, and being able to convey HOA dues, what they cover, what the insurance covers, what the property taxes are, the units that are available, you know, what type of upgrades that you can get, and so on. And so that definitely can be a frustrating point. And as a new home builder, you know, if it's your project or if it's a national brand, the salesperson on site knows that product better than anybody else. And they are the person that is going to best translate all of the perks and all of the things that your buyer could potentially get for that property. I just think that there's a disconnect with buyer's agents because there's a stigma that, losing clients, they don't want to lose their clients. So I can completely relate, and I would, say realtors that are maybe watching this is register your client And if you bring them to a project, whether it be a house, condo, townhouse, whatever, make sure that by registering your client that you're protected, but allow the builder or salesperson on site to be able to effectively communicate all the perks that that particular house has, because you don't want your buyer to miss something that could have resulted in a sale because you're too busy, guarding your buyer. Your second point that you made as far as setting appointments and not showing up, I mean, that is big no matter, I think, what industry you're in. I mean, when you schedule your day around somebody bringing somebody in, it is extremely frustrating when they don't show up and it's a no call, no show, no email, no nothing. And, we have to get better at being able to communicate with, people that we set appointments with and let them know, hey, my buyer, couldn't get off work, but can we reschedule at a later date? That has to be something that I think all have to work on, no matter what profession we're in. Sometimes we get sidetracked with other things in life and it just falls to the wayside, and it's not fair for the other person on the other end. And your last point as far as letting us know where your buyers are, I couldn't agree more. There's nothing worse than, trying to work a deal that is dead from the get-go. I mean, agents certainly need to communicate to builders, if their buyer is going in a different direction, because, you don't want to waste your time, you don't want to waste their time, you don't want to waste the buyer's time, and, trying to, effectively communicate to the builder, and also getting from your buyer exactly where they're at, because buyers can be all over the place, and it's the realtor's job to keep them focused and centered on, what they're looking for and their criteria, and staying true to that.
Yeah, thank you, Tasha, for addressing that. That's awesome. And I probably have time. I don't know if you have a particular question for me as a new home sales rep, but we probably have time for one quick question, and then we're gonna have to end the show. But go ahead. Did you have anything for me?
I'm trying to think it. Do you offer realtors any type of sessions as far as getting and equate with what you're offering, to buyers on your products? I mean, what do you do as a builder to get your information out there or to encourage realtors to bring their buyer to you?
Okay. You broke up on part of that, Tasha, but I think essentially what you were saying is, hey, as a builder, we have a responsibility to make sure that we're easily providing you with the information and some of the selling points that you can work with to, find a good fit for your client or bring us business. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Awesome. Yes. So that is a great idea. I think that we often fall short in that, and we do. That's one of my goals, is to be able to not only provide it to as many agents as possible, not just one or two, nearby agents. So, Tasha, we are out of time. I want to thank you so much. Real quick, remind the audience how to reach out to you so that they can follow up.
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me on your show. So I'm on Facebook, Tasha McGinn. Company is Exit Prestige Luxury Realty out of Biloxi, Mississippi. You can also text, get my mobile business card with all my information, and it's Exit, EXIT-PLR to 85377. And you can get all my contact information and reach out to me directly. So thank you so much, David. I really, really appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, Tasha, it was great to have you on. Thank you so much for being on, and I'll see you soon on Facebook and hopefully soon in person. Thank you for being on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. So we only have a moment. We're actually a little bit over on time, but in fairness to you, Nathaniel, I had a couple questions which we'll talk about, and I'll post on Facebook off the air as a follow-up to the show. But sure. Maybe just a couple moments, share with us, number one, a little bit more about what Security National Mortgage is, your role, and what you're going to be doing here in the near future. I know you have some events coming up.
Thank you. So Security National Mortgage Company is a national lender, and we do everything internally here out of Oldsmar, Florida. Our operations center is based there, so underwriting, processing, marketing, everything from the point that you take an application to the point where we cut a check. We do that. Like today, for instance, I'll push a button and deliver well over $5-6 million in loans. So we do it all right here locally, which is great. As far as upcoming stuff, I think the big thing, and Tasha really helped me out a lot here, what we're going to start putting together is we're going to put together at Security National Mortgage Company a new real estate agent program, an actual 1-week course that agents can learn about the process for what happens from the point a consumer calls up and takes a pre-qualification all the way to closing. So what does a new agent need to know?
#boom. That's huge.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
boom. You know, just here's what new agent, know all these things. Here's how you communicate. Here's what you can do. Here's what's going to happen at this point, at this point. And if these things aren't happening, here's what you should ask your lender.
Right.
So I think that'd be valuable.
It'd
Would
be
you agree?
amazing. It'd
Yeah.
be amazing. We
Yeah.
talked about the fact so many new realtors and brokers out there are experiencing not only the influx, but they're trying to provide. They're trying to be a responsible broker like Tasha and provide as much training as possible to get to make that work. So,
Yeah.
and ultimately for you, the client, by the way, if you're watching. So. Let's introduce real quick our Realtor of the Week, because we are going to have to close out, and our Realtor of the Week, drum roll, drum roll, drum roll, is Karen 2. Karen 2. Not like the number
right,
2,
Karen.
but spelled a little
Yay.
differently. Karen 2 is the Realtor of the Week because of things that she is doing that I'm seeing on social media. Congratulations, Karen, by the way. She doesn't know she's been chosen. This is
Where's she out of? Where's Karen out of?
Karen is actually right here locally out of the Tampa Bay area.
Oh, great.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I think she's primarily, her residence is in the Valrico area,
Oh,
so
super.
kind of East Hillsborough County. And you can reach her. The information's on your screen. Reach out to Karen, say congratulations, as well as go find Karen so you can get under contract. If you're watching the show and you're looking for a home, there you go. We know some people in the business, so reach out to Karen. That was it for today's episode. Upcoming, by the way, next week we're going to have Juan Pablo. He is the gentleman that is an absolute expert, by the way, on finding multi-family units, purchasing them, and then sitting on them and collecting rent.
Oh, wow. That's a good subject. Can I throw one?
Yeah,
last
absolutely,
one?
absolutely.
So, because your theme today with Tasha was new agents and learning.
Yes.
If people will look, if you look up Baba, Be a Better Agent locally, Baba, Be a Better Agent. There's a gentleman named Kevin Overstreet that puts together a reoccurring monthly meeting for agents, and he brings in phenomenal speakers to talk about insurance and how to stage a property and inspectors and things you need to know. So Baba may be something for new agents to look into too. So just real quick.
I
Yep.
appreciate that,
Thank you.
because that's why we're here, by the way. This whole show is about how to help us in the real estate industry
Sorry
connect
to
the dots. No, that's great. So Juan Pablo, next week, he's really going to be focusing on where to find hard money lenders. When you don't necessarily qualify, you want to go out, you found a great deal on a multifamily unit you want to invest in, but you can't pay for it, you don't qualify, we can help you out next week on the show. And then the week after that, you might know this person. Brian Kopp is going to be on with iappraisal.com.
Yeah,
Got a
sure.
really cool new way to target market your audience when it comes to marketing. You will not want to miss that, because I don't bring that many people on that are vendors, that are marketers in that kind of realm. But this one was one that I felt we all needed to see. So, and then the following week, Bye Agent. We're going to be talking about the value of an agent. Where are we going with this? Do we need agents anymore? Is it almost time up for us? We'll see. Anyway, we got to go. We're way over. We'll see you next week on Under Contract. #boom.